I sat alone in my dark apartment on Christmas night. Leftover Chinese takeout cold on the coffee table. Some random movie playing that I wasn't really watching. My phone buzzed. A notification from my cousin Tyler's social media. I opened it without thinking. The video started playing, and my heart stopped. There they were, my entire family, gathered at my parents' house for Christmas dinner. Full turkey on the table, decorations everywhere, everyone dressed up and laughing. My mother in the background, smiling wide. My father carving the turkey. The caption read, "Family only. Best Christmas ever." Last week, my mother called and told me Christmas was canceled because money was too tight this year. I paused the video. My hands were shaking. I rewound it and watched again, this time counting every single face. My mother Sarah, my father Doug, my sister Amanda with her husband Brandon and their 2 kids, my brother Jason with his girlfriend Stephanie, cousin Tyler who posted it, Tyler's parents, Uncle Frank, and Aunt Linda, and my grandmother Patricia. Everyone. Literally everyone except me. I zoomed in on the screen. The decorations weren't just simple, they were elaborate. A full Christmas tree stood in the corner, covered in lights and ornaments, presents stacked underneath wrapped in shiny paper. Wreaths hung on the walls. Garland draped across the mantel. The dining table was set with what looked like fine china, 12 place settings arranged perfectly. This wasn't a last-minute gathering. This was planned. The realization hit me like a punch to the gut. They planned for 12 people. They invited 12 people. They had 12 people, and I wasn't one of them. My mind went back to the phone call. 1 week before Christmas, my mother had called me at work. I remembered stepping out of a meeting to take it because she rarely called during the day. Her voice had sounded stressed, tired even. "Avery, honey, I need to talk to you about Christmas," she'd said. "What's up, Mom?" "Well, your father and I have been talking, and with money being really tight this year, we've decided to just cancel the usual Christmas gathering. We're going to stay in, maybe order a pizza, keep it really low-key." I'd felt a pang of disappointment but understood. "Are you sure? I can help pay for dinner if that would make it easier." "No, sweetheart. We can't ask you for more. You already do so much for us. We'll be fine. We just need to tighten the belt a little. You know how it is." "If you're sure, Mom." "I'm sure. Just a quiet Christmas at home. Nothing fancy. Don't worry about us." I'd felt guilty for even offering, like I was pushing them to spend money they didn't have. So I'd respected their decision. Bought myself Chinese takeout on Christmas Eve to heat up the next day. Spent Christmas morning alone in my apartment, watching television, telling myself it was fine. Family was struggling financially. This was responsible. This was mature. But they hadn't stayed in. They hadn't ordered pizza. They'd thrown a full Christmas dinner with 12 people and excluded only me. I opened my sister Amanda's social media. She'd posted too. A photo of the dessert table with the caption, "So grateful for family time. Mom outdid herself this year." The dessert table had at least 3 different pies, plates of cookies, what looked like homemade fudge, and a chocolate cake. My brother Jason posted a photo of everyone gathered around the fireplace. His caption, "Nothing better than being home for the holidays." Uncle Frank posted a group photo. Everyone was holding wine glasses, toasting the camera. 12 people. 12 smiling faces. In every single photo, I counted. 12. Always 12. They hadn't just forgotten to invite me. They'd actively planned around my absence. Someone had decided on a guest list, and my name wasn't on it. Someone had set the table for 12 and thought, that's right, 12 is the correct number. Someone had arranged those place cards and never once thought, wait, where's Avery? I stared at Tyler's caption again. Family only. The words felt like a slap. I am family. I'm the son, the brother, the grandson, the nephew, the cousin. If this was family only, then what was I? My mind drifted to the past 3 years. Every single month, without fail, I'd sent my parents $800. I'd started doing it when my dad mentioned they were struggling with the mortgage. $800 times 12 months times 3 years. That was $28,800. And that wasn't counting the other times. The $3,000 I'd loaned Jason when his car broke down. The $500 I'd sent Amanda for her kids' school supplies. The $1,000 when Mom's car needed new brakes. The $2,000 I'd given them last year when they couldn't afford their property taxes. I'd been there. I'd been the one they called when they needed help. And they repaid me by lying to my face and throwing a party without me. While I was sitting there, staring at these photos, trying to process what I was seeing, my phone buzzed again. A text message. From Dad. Hey son, hope you had a nice quiet Christmas. Quick question. Can you send this month's mortgage help a few days early? Need to get it in before the 1st. $800 as usual. Thanks, buddy. I read it once, then twice, then a third time. The audacity of it took my breath away. They lied to me. They excluded me from Christmas. They gathered the entire family and deliberately left me out. And now, less than 12 hours later, my father was casually asking me for $800. Not even an acknowledgement of what had happened. Not even a hint of guilt or explanation. Just a casual request for money, as if nothing was wrong. As if they hadn't just proven that I wasn't really family, just a bank account they could withdraw from whenever convenient. I sat there for 20 minutes, staring at that text message. I typed responses and deleted them. Typed again, deleted again. My emotions cycled through disbelief, hurt, anger, and finally clarity. I typed, "Ask the family you chose for Christmas. I'm done." My thumb hovered over the send button. This was it. This was the line. Once I sent this, everything would change. My relationship with my family would never be the same. I hit send. Immediately, 3 dots appeared at the bottom of the screen. Dad was typing. The dots disappeared, then appeared again, then disappeared again. A minute passed. 2 minutes. No response came. I took screenshots. Tyler's video post, Amanda's dessert table photo, Jason's fireplace photo, Uncle Frank's group toast. I saved them all to a folder on my phone. Evidence. Not that I thought I'd need it, but something in me wanted proof that this had really happened, that I wasn't imagining it. Then I opened my banking app. I navigated to my payment history and looked at the records. There it was, month after month, a recurring payment. $800 to Doug and Sarah Peterson. 3 years of payments. I scrolled back, counting. $28,800. I found the other payments too. $3,000 to Jason, $500 to Amanda, $1,000 for the car repair, $2,000 for property taxes. Smaller amounts here and there for birthdays, emergencies, little things they needed. I added it up in my head. Over $35,000 in 3 years. And they couldn't even invite me to Christmas dinner. I navigated to the recurring payment settings and canceled it. The $800 automatic monthly payment to my parents, scheduled to go out in 3 days, was now canceled. My finger hesitated for just a moment before I confirmed it. Done. I felt sick, but I also felt something else. Free. 10 minutes after I sent that text to my dad, my phone started exploding. A text from my mother. "Avery, what's going on? Dad said you sent a strange message." I didn't type a response. I just sent her the screenshot of Tyler's video. 3 dots appeared immediately. Then, "We can explain." I typed back, "Don't bother. I'm done being your ATM while you exclude me from the actual family." My sister Amanda texted, "You're being dramatic. It wasn't personal. Me." "Then what was it?" Amanda. "Mom and Dad just thought, you're always so busy with work, and you live so far away. It didn't seem worth it to make you drive all the way here." Me. "I'm 2 hours away. I drove home for Thanksgiving. I offered to help with Christmas dinner. Mom lied to my face and said it was canceled." Amanda. "Well, maybe if you weren't so judgmental all the time, you would have been invited. The text stunned me. Judgmental? Me? My brother Jason chimed in. Come on, man. Don't make this bigger than it is. We had Christmas dinner. You're mad you missed it. We'll do better next year. Me? You all lied to me, and then asked me for money the next day. How big should it be? Uncle Frank sent a message. Family is family, Avery. We work things out. Don't let pride get in the way. Me. Then why wasn't I invited to the family Christmas? No response from Uncle Frank. My phone rang. Mom. I stared at it for 3 rings, considering not answering. But I picked up. Hello. Avery. She was crying. Amanda just called and said you're upset about Christmas. I was lied to and excluded. Yeah, I'm upset. It wasn't supposed to happen like this, honey. How was it supposed to happen, Mom? You told me Christmas was canceled. You said money was too tight. You said you were staying in and ordering pizza, and then you threw a full dinner party for everyone but me. I know how it looks. How it looks. Mom, I spent Christmas alone eating Chinese takeout while you carved turkey for 11 other people. There was a long pause. I could hear her breathing, shaky and uneven. It wasn't my idea, she said finally. Then whose idea was it? Another pause. Longer this time. Amanda said she didn't want you there. The words hung in the air. I couldn't speak. What? I finally managed. She said she was tired of you acting like you're better than everyone, because you have a good job and make good money. She said it would be more comfortable if it was just, well, everyone else. I felt like I'd been punched in the stomach. And you agreed with her? Your father and I thought maybe she had a point. You do seem to judge us sometimes, Avery. The way you talk about your job, your apartment, your car. It makes people feel bad about themselves. I've been sending you $800 a month for 3 years. We appreciate that, honey. We really do. But money isn't everything. Sometimes people need emotional support, not financial support. Emotional support? You lied to me and excluded me from Christmas, and you're talking about emotional support? Don't be cruel, Avery. I'm not being cruel, Mom. I'm being honest. You chose Amanda's comfort over your own son's inclusion. You let her decide I wasn't welcome in my own family. She's going through a hard time right now. And I'm not? You think I enjoyed spending Christmas alone? You could have made other plans. The statement floored me. I didn't make other plans because you told me you were staying in. You told me it was canceled. If I'd known you were having dinner, I could have gone to a friend's house or done something else. But I spent the day alone because I thought my family was having a quiet night in, and I didn't want to abandon you for something more fun. Well, I'm sorry you feel that way. You're sorry I feel that way? You're not sorry for what you did? I'm sorry it hurt you. But I had to think about everyone, not just you. Clearly, there was a long silence. Your father really needs that mortgage payment, Avery. We're already behind. And there it was. The real reason for the call. I canceled it. You what? I canceled the automatic payment. I'm done, Mom. Avery, you can't do that. We'll lose the house. You should have thought about that before Christmas. This is childish. You're punishing us over one holiday? One holiday where I was lied to, excluded, and then immediately asked for money? Yeah, Mom, I'm done. So you're just going to let us lose our home? Your childhood home? I didn't make you lie to me. I didn't make you exclude me. Those were your choices. Now I'm making mine. She was crying harder now. Please, baby. We need that money. We'll lose everything. Figure it out, Mom. Ask the family you chose for Christmas. I'm sure they'll help. I hung up. My hands were shaking. I'd never spoken to my mother like that in my life. But I also felt a strange sense of calm. For 3 years, I'd been sending money, helping out, being the responsible son. And this was how they saw me. Not as family, but as a bank account with an attitude problem. My phone buzzed again. A group chat notification. I didn't recognize the chat name. I opened it. Amanda had created a new group chat and added everyone. My parents, my siblings, Uncle Frank, Aunt Linda, Tyler, Grandmother Patricia, everyone from Christmas dinner. Amanda's first message. Since Avery wants to have a public meltdown, let's address this as a family. Miyaf clenched. Amanda, you're really going to punish Mom and Dad because your feelings got hurt? Me. You told them not to invite me to Christmas. Amanda. I suggested that maybe we could have one holiday without you making everyone feel bad about their life choices. Me. What choices? Amanda. Your whole, I'm so successful attitude. The way you talk about your job, your apartment, your car, your life. Some of us are happy with simpler things. Some of us don't need to make 6 figures to feel valuable. Me. I never said I was better than anyone. Jason jumped in. You didn't have to say it. It's in everything you do. The way you talk, the advice you give, the way you look at our lives like we're all making mistakes. Tyler. Remember Thanksgiving? You talked about your new car for like an hour. Me. You asked me about it. You specifically asked about the features and the price and the gas mileage. Uncle Frank. The boys got a point though. You do come across as a bit showy, Avery. Grandmother Patricia. Now, let's not say things we'll regret. Amanda. No, Grandma, this needs to be said. Avery walks around like he's doing us all favors. The money, the help, all of it comes with this attitude of superiority. Like he's rescuing us from our pathetic lives. Me. So the solution was to lie to me and exclude me? Brandon, Amanda's husband, chimed in. Maybe if you were easier to be around, you would have been invited. Stephanie, Jason's girlfriend. I honestly felt more relaxed at Christmas, without the tension. Me. What tension? I literally didn't know I was causing tension. My dad finally entered the chat. Son, let's talk about this privately. Me. No. If this is a family discussion, let's have it with the family. You all seem to have plenty of opinions about me. Dad. Fine. The mortgage payment didn't come through. We need it by the 3rd, or we're going to be in serious trouble. The chat went silent for a moment. Me. I canceled it. I already told Mom. Amanda. You what? Me. I canceled the automatic payment. I'm done sending money. Dad. Avery. That's not funny. Me. I'm not joking. I canceled it this afternoon. I'm done. Mom. Honey. We need that money. We'll lose the house. Me. You should have thought about that before lying to me and throwing a Christmas party without me. Dad. This is childish. We're talking about our home. Your childhood home. You're really going to let us lose it over one dinner? Me. One dinner where you all decided I wasn't family enough to attend. Yes. Jason. Dude, come on. You're really going to let Mom and Dad lose their house over this? That's messed up. Me. What's messed up is asking me for $800 12 hours after excluding me from Christmas. Amanda. We can't afford the house without your help. Don't you understand that? And there it was. The truth. Laid bare in a group chat. Me. Then you should have treated me like family, instead of an ATM. The messages kept coming. Faster now. Everyone piling on. But I noticed something. None of them were apologizing. None of them were saying we were wrong to exclude you, or we shouldn't have lied. They were all just angry that I'd stopped sending money. Dad sent another message. We're already 2 months behind on the mortgage. Without your $800, we can't make the payment. We'll be 60 days late. The bank will start foreclosure proceedings. Me. Why didn't anyone tell me things were this bad? Dad. We didn't want to worry you. We thought we could figure it out. Me. But you'll take my money every month and exclude me from family events? Mom. We were going to tell you after the holidays. We just didn't want to ruin Christmas. The irony was almost funny. They didn't want to ruin Christmas by telling me they were struggling. But they had no problem ruining my Christmas by lying to me and leaving me out. Amanda. This is ridiculous. Just send the money, Avery. Stop being petty. Me. Petty is lying to someone, and then asking them for money. I'm done. I exited the group chat. Immediately, individual texts started flooding in. My phone was buzzing nonstop. Mom, Dad, Amanda, Jason, even Uncle Frank. Then the phone calls started. I ignored them all. Then the voicemails. I listened to one from my mother. Please, baby. Please. We'll lose everything. Your father and I worked so hard for this house. We raised you kids there. All your memories are in that house. Please don't do this. One from my dad. You're really going to abandon your family? After everything we've done for you? We raised you, we fed you, we put you through college, and this is how you repay us? By letting us lose our home? One from Amanda. You're showing your true colors, Avery. All this time, you pretended to be the good son, the helpful brother. But really, you just wanted control. You wanted us all dependent on you so you could feel superior. Well, congratulations. You've got what you wanted. We all see who you really are now. I deleted them all, blocked most of the numbers. I left my grandmother unblocked. She was the only one who hadn't attacked me in that group chat. But everyone else? They could figure it out without me. I sat in my apartment, alone again, but this time, it felt different. This time, the solitude wasn't loneliness, it was peace. 2 weeks passed. I kept my family members blocked and focused on work, on my life, on anything but them. I'd made my decision, they'd made theirs. As far as I was concerned, we were done. But then my grandmother called. I'd kept her number unblocked, partly because she was 84 years old and I didn't want to completely cut her off, and partly because she'd been the only one who hadn't attacked me in that group chat. Avery, sweetheart, she said when I answered. Her voice sounded tired. Hi, Grandma. I need to talk to you about your parents. My shoulders tensed. Grandma, I really don't want to get into this. I know. But please, just listen. They're going to lose the house, honey. The bank sent a formal foreclosure notice. They have 60 days. They should have thought about that before Christmas. I'm not saying what they did was right. It wasn't. They should have included you. They should have been honest. But sweetheart, they're desperate. Your father's pride was hurt when he got demoted at work. He's embarrassed. That's why they didn't tell you how bad things really were. That doesn't excuse lying to me and excluding me. No, it doesn't. But their family, Avery, they made a mistake, a big mistake. But are you really going to let them lose their home over it? I felt the familiar guilt creeping in. The house where I'd grown up, where I'd learned to ride a bike in the driveway, where I'd had birthday parties and family dinners and quiet nights doing homework at the kitchen table. My childhood was in that house. I need time to think about it, Grandma. Time is what they don't have, sweetheart. 60 days. That's all they've got. After we hung up, I couldn't stop thinking about it. Maybe I was being too harsh. Maybe I should help them one more time, just to save the house, and then cut ties. At least then I wouldn't feel guilty about them losing their home. I opened my laptop and looked up my parents' address on the county property records website. The information was public. The house was valued at approximately $400,000. They owed $270,000 on the mortgage. That meant they had $130,000 in equity. It wasn't like they'd be homeless if they lost the house. They'd walk away with money. I found the foreclosure notice posted publicly on the county website. They were 3 months behind on payments. 3 payments of $2,400 each. $7,200 to bring it current. Wait. $2,400 per month. I'd been sending them $800. Where was the other $1,600 supposed to come from? If they needed my $800 to make the mortgage payment, that meant they were only coming up with $1,600 on their own. But the mortgage was $2,400. Even with my $800, they were still short $800 every month. Something didn't add up. They weren't just struggling because I stopped sending money. They'd been struggling for a long time, even with my help. My $800 had just been a Band-Aid on a much bigger wound. The next morning, I got an email from a collections agency. The subject line read, "Urgent. Outstanding debt requires immediate attention." My stomach dropped. I didn't have any debts. I paid my credit cards in full every month. My car was paid off. I had no loans. I opened the email. There was a debt in my name for $12,000 from a personal loan company I'd never heard of. I immediately called the number listed. Collections Department. This is Mark speaking. Hi. I received an email about a debt in my name, but I never took out this loan. Can I have your name and the account number? I provided both. Okay. I see this is a personal loan for $12,000 issued in October. You're listed as the co-signer for Doug and Sarah Peterson. My heart stopped. I never co-signed anything. We have a signed application here with your information, sir. Social security number, employment information, everything. That's impossible. I never signed anything. Can you email me copies of the documents? I can do that. Give me your email address. 20 minutes later, I was staring at a loan application with my forged signature at the bottom. They'd used my name, my social security number, my employer information, my income, everything. And there at the bottom was a signature that looked like mine but wasn't. I'd never seen these documents before in my life. My hands were shaking as I called my father. I'd unblocked his number just to make this call. He answered on the first ring. Avery, thank God. Listen, we need to talk about the mortgage payment. Did you forge my signature on a loan application? Silence. Who told you about that? Collections called me. You put debt in my name without asking. You committed fraud. We were desperate. We needed money to catch up on the mortgage payments. You committed fraud, Dad. Do you understand that? You stole my identity. That's a crime. We're family. We thought you'd understand. We thought if we just got caught up on payments, everything would be fine, and you'd never have to know. So instead of asking me for help, you forged documents and put $12,000 of debt in my name? The loan officer said, we needed a co-signer. Your credit is so good, and ours is terrible. We knew they wouldn't approve us without you, and we were going to pay it back before you ever found out. Were you? Because you're 3 months behind on your mortgage, and now you're asking me for more money. How exactly were you planning to pay back a $12,000 loan? We were going to figure something out. I'm reporting this to the police. You wouldn't dare. Watch me. If you do that, they'll arrest your mother and me. Is that what you want? Your parents in jail? Is that how you want to prove your point? I hesitated. The image of my parents in handcuffs flashed through my mind. My mother crying. My father angry and humiliated. Even after everything, I didn't want that. You have 48 hours, I said slowly, to contact that lender and remove my name from that loan. I don't care how you do it. Transfer it entirely to your names, pay it off, whatever. But if my name is still on that loan in 48 hours, I'm filing a police report for identity theft. We can't remove your name. We don't qualify for the loan without a co-signer. And we sure as hell can't pay off $12,000. Then I guess you better figure something out. 48 hours. I hung up. My phone immediately started ringing again. I ignored it. I was done talking. They had 48 hours to fix this, or I was going to the police. I spent the rest of the day researching identity theft laws, talking to my bank about fraud protection, and changing all my passwords. I pulled my credit report. The loan was listed there, marked as current but in my name. My credit score had already dropped 15 points because of the inquiry and the new debt. They hadn't just excluded me from Christmas. They'd stolen my identity to take out a loan without my knowledge. How long had they been planning this? How long had they been using my information without telling me? That night, I barely slept. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw that forged signature, my name, written in handwriting that wasn't quite mine, on documents I'd never seen, for a debt I'd never agreed to. 24 hours later, my phone rang. My boss. Avery, I need to talk to you about something sensitive. My stomach sank. What's going on? Your sister called our HR department today. She filed a formal complaint against you. What kind of complaint? She claims you've been harassing your family, making threats, and she's concerned about your mental stability. She wants us to know that you're going through some kind of crisis. That's not true. My family has been lying to me and committing fraud. She sent some screenshots of text messages that seem concerning. Messages where you say things like, "I'm done," and "figure it out," that could be interpreted as threatening. I realized immediately what had happened. Amanda had taken my texts completely out of context. Without the full conversation, without knowing what they'd done to me, my messages looked aggressive and unstable. "This is retaliation," I said. "My parents committed identity theft against me. They forged my signature on a loan. I told them I was going to report it if they didn't fix it. This is them trying to discredit me before I can go to the police. That's a serious accusation, Avery. But that's between you and your family. What I need to address is the complaint filed with our company. HR has to investigate any claims of employee instability or potential workplace violence." Workplace violence? I've never threatened anyone. I understand, but we have a protocol. You're being placed on administrative leave, with pay, for 2 weeks, while HR reviews this complaint and determines if there's any validity to it. You're suspending me? It's standard procedure. 2 weeks, fully paid. We just need to make sure there's nothing to these claims. After he hung up, I sat staring at my phone. They were destroying me. Systematically, deliberately destroying me. First the exclusion, then the fraud, now trying to ruin my career. What was next? The 2 weeks of administrative leave dragged by. I spent most of it in my apartment, anxiously waiting for HR to finish their investigation, checking my credit report obsessively, and trying not to think about how my family was probably celebrating their successful attack on my reputation. On day 9 of my leave, Grandmother Patricia called again. "Avery, sweetheart, I need to talk to you." She sounded like she'd been crying. "What's wrong, Grandma?" "Your parents are going to lose the house. The foreclosure auction is scheduled. They have 45 days left." "I know, Grandma. There's nothing I can do about that." "Yes, there is. You could help them. You have the money. They forged my signature and stole my identity." "Did they tell you that part?" "They made a mistake." "A mistake? Grandma? They committed fraud?" "They were desperate. Your grandfather and I built that house 60 years ago. Your mother grew up in that house. You grew up in that house. It's not just a house, it's the family home. Are you really going to let it go to auction?" Guilt crashed over me in waves. That house was where Grandpa had taught me to fish, where Grandma had baked cookies with me every Sunday, where every Christmas, until this one, had been celebrated. "What do you want me to do, Grandma?" "Help them. Just this once. Pay what they need to stop the foreclosure. Then you never have to help them again if you don't want to. But don't let them lose the house. Please." "How much do they need?" "They're 3 months behind. The bank needs $8,900 to bring them current and stop the foreclosure proceedings. I could afford it. I had savings. $8,900 would hurt, but it wouldn't break me. But if I paid it, what message was I sending? That they could lie to me, defraud me, try to ruin my career, and I'd still bail them out? I need to think about it, Grandma. Don't think too long, sweetheart. 45 days goes faster than you think. After we hung up, I couldn't focus on anything else. I kept running the numbers in my head. $8,900 to save the house. $12,000 in fraudulent debt already in my name. 3 years of $800 monthly payments. How much more would they want after this? When would it end? I decided to do some research. If I was going to make an informed decision, I needed to know exactly what I was dealing with. I went to the county website and pulled up all the public records I could find on my parents' property. The house was worth $400,000. The mortgage balance was $270,000. That was $130,000 in equity. But as I dug deeper, I found something else. 3 additional liens on the property. Personal loans, all taken out in the past 2 years, all using the house as collateral. The total amount of those 3 loans, $57,000. So the real equity in the house wasn't $130,000. It was $73,000, and dropping every day with interest and late fees. I hired a private investigator. It cost me $800, the same amount I used to send my parents every month. I figured it was money well spent if it gave me the full picture of what I was dealing with. 2 days later, the investigator sent me a detailed report, and what I read made me sick to my stomach. My father hadn't been demoted. He'd been fired 18 months ago for showing up to work drunk. He'd been collecting unemployment for 6 months, which had run out a year ago. Since then, he'd been doing odd jobs under the table, making maybe $400 or $500 a month if he was lucky. My mother didn't have a part-time job. She'd quit her job 11 months ago and hadn't worked since. The investigator found records showing they'd been collecting welfare benefits they didn't qualify for because they'd never reported my monthly $800 payments as income. The 3 personal loans totaling $57,000 had all been taken out in the past 18 months, with the house as collateral. They'd been using those loans to make the mortgage payments and cover living expenses. The $12,000 loan with my forged signature had been their latest attempt to keep the house of cards from collapsing. But here's what really broke me. Amanda knew. Everything. She'd been helping them hide it. Her husband Brandon had actually co-signed one of the personal loans. Uncle Frank had loaned them $15,000 last year, which they hadn't repaid, and he was now threatening to sue them. Even Jason knew about most of it, though he'd been kept in the dark about the identity theft. The whole family had been caught in my parents' web of lies, and they'd all decided, at some point, that it was easier to keep lying and keep taking than to face the truth and deal with the consequences. That's when I understood. Paying off the house wouldn't save them. It wouldn't solve anything. They'd just take out more loans, accumulate more debt, and eventually, in a year or 2 or 5, they'd lose the house anyway. This wasn't about one Christmas or one mortgage payment. This was about a pattern of dishonesty, manipulation, and financial irresponsibility that had been building for years. I made my decision. I called a lawyer who specialized in identity theft and fraud. I filed a formal police report for the forged loan documents. I wrote a detailed statement explaining everything, including the timeline of events, the Christmas exclusion, the subsequent fraud, and the attempt to ruin my career through the HR complaint. Then I wrote a certified letter to every member of my family. I will not be paying anything toward the mortgage. I will not be owning any part of the house. I am pursuing legal action for identity theft against Doug and Sarah Peterson. The police report has been filed. I have evidence of fraud, including forged signatures and misuse of my personal information. Do not contact me again. Any further attempts to contact me, either directly or through my employer, will be considered harassment and will be reported to the authorities. This is my final communication with you. I sent it certified mail to everyone. My parents, Amanda, Jason, Uncle Frank, Aunt Linda, even Tyler, everyone except Grandmother Patricia, who I still believed was just an innocent bystander trying to keep the family together. Then, I blocked every single family member's phone number. I blocked them all on social media. I changed my email address and didn't give them the new one. I even contacted my employer's HR department and provided them with all the evidence I'd gathered, showing that Amanda's complaint had been retaliatory and based on false information. For the first time in 3 years, I felt like I could breathe. I wasn't responsible for them anymore. I wasn't the one who had to fix everything. I'd drawn a line, and I was standing behind it. But I also felt terrified, because I knew this wasn't over. People like my parents, people who'd built their lives on manipulation and lies, didn't just give up when you said no. They escalated. And boy, did they ever escalate. 1 week after I sent those certified letters, the consequences started rolling in fast. The police interviewed my father about the forged loan documents. He admitted to it, thinking he could explain it away as a family misunderstanding. Instead, he was charged with identity theft and fraud, both felonies. My mother was charged as an accessory since she'd known about it and benefited from it. Amanda was questioned about her involvement because she'd helped them fill out the application, though she hadn't known about the forged signature. During the investigation into the loan fraud, the detective discovered the unreported income on their welfare applications. My mother was additionally charged with benefits fraud for failing to report my monthly payments while collecting assistance she didn't qualify for. Everything unraveled at once. The house went to auction. It sold for $390,000, below market value, because it was a foreclosure sale. After paying off the mortgage of $270,000 and the 3 personal loans totaling $57,000, there were $63,000 left. But then came the fees. Legal fees for the foreclosure, realtor commissions, back property taxes they hadn't paid in 2 years. After everything was settled, my parents walked away with approximately $40,000. Uncle Frank immediately demanded his $15,000 back, threatening to sue if they didn't pay. They paid him from the proceeds, leaving them with $25,000 to start a new life. With pending criminal charges, no jobs, bad credit, and a family that was fracturing by the day, they found a small 2-bedroom apartment 40 minutes from their old neighborhood, the only place that would rent to them with their credit scores and criminal charges pending. The rent was $1,400 a month. With $25,000 in the bank and no income, they had about 17 months before they'd be completely broke. But I didn't know any of this yet. I'd cut them off completely. No contact, no social media stalking, nothing. I was rebuilding my own life. HR finished their investigation and cleared me completely. They found that Amanda's complaint was false and retaliatory. They actually sent her a formal letter banning her from contacting the company again and warning that any further false reports would result in legal action against her for defamation. I went back to work. My colleagues welcomed me back warmly. My boss apologized for the suspension and said he'd never doubted me but had to follow protocol. I dove into my projects with renewed focus. Without the constant stress of my family's problems hanging over me, my work performance actually improved. 3 months after everything exploded, I got a notification from my bank. A restitution payment had been deposited into my account. $75 from Doug Peterson. I called my bank. "What is this payment?" "It's a court-ordered restitution payment, sir. There's a legal judgment requiring monthly payments of $75 until a total of $12,000 is repaid." My father had pleaded guilty. As part of his plea deal, he'd received 2 years probation instead of jail time, but he was ordered to pay me back the $12,000 from the fraudulent loan, at $75 per month. I did the math. That would take 160 months. More than 13 years. He'd be paying me back until he was nearly 70 years old. Part of me wanted to laugh at the absurdity of it. After everything they'd put me through, they were going to pay me back at a rate of $75 per month. But another part of me felt a grim satisfaction. They'd be reminded of what they'd done every single month for the next 13 years. I found out later, through grandmother Patricia, who still called me occasionally, that my mother had also pleaded guilty to the benefits fraud. She got a year of probation and had to repay the benefits she'd fraudulently collected. Both my parents now had criminal records. My father's felony conviction meant he couldn't work in certain fields anymore. They'd both had to find jobs quickly to satisfy the terms of their probation. Dad was working at a warehouse, doing manual labor for $15 an hour. Mom was working as a cashier at a grocery store for $13 an hour. Together, they were making about $50,000 a year before taxes, a huge step down from their previous combined income of nearly $90,000. Amanda and Brandon's marriage was falling apart. Brandon was furious that he'd been dragged into my parents' mess. He'd co-signed one of those personal loans and was now stuck with $7,000 in debt that my parents couldn't pay. He blamed Amanda for her family's dysfunction, and Amanda blamed me for not continuing to enable and support everyone. They were in marriage counseling, but Grandma said it wasn't going well. Jason had stopped speaking to my parents entirely. He was angry that they'd involved him in their lies and manipulated him into attacking me. He'd actually reached out through Grandma, asking if I'd be willing to talk to him. I'd said no. Maybe someday, but not yet. The wound was too fresh. Uncle Frank had sued my parents in small claims court for the $15,000 and won a judgment. They were paying him back $100 per month, another payment that would take years to complete. The family was fractured. Everyone was blaming everyone else. Christmas that year, 8 months after the explosion, was reportedly a disaster. Only my parents, Amanda and Brandon, attended. Amanda and Mom spent the whole time crying. Dad drank too much and got angry. Brandon left early. Jason spent Christmas with Stephanie's family. Uncle Frank and Aunt Linda went on a cruise to avoid the drama. Tyler posted nothing on social media about it. Meanwhile, I was thriving. I'd started therapy to work through everything that had happened. My therapist helped me understand that I'd been enabling their dysfunction for years, taking on the role of the family fixer, the responsible one who solved everyone's problems. She helped me see that cutting them off wasn't cruel. It was necessary. It was self-preservation. I'd started dating someone new, a woman named Carrie I'd met through a hiking group. She was kind, independent, and financially stable. I told her everything that had happened with my family early in our relationship, expecting her to run. Instead, she said, "It sounds like you did exactly what you needed to do." I respect that. My work was going well. I'd gotten a promotion to senior software engineer, with a $30,000 raise. I was saving more money than ever before, because I wasn't sending $800 a month to my parents. I'd taken a real vacation for the first time in 5 years, a 2-week trip to Hawaii. I'd come back, relaxed and recharged. Life was good. Really good. Better than it had been in years. But I still wondered about them sometimes. How they were doing. If they'd learned anything. If they had any regrets beyond getting caught. Then, 8 months after I'd cut them off, I received a letter. Grandmother Patricia forwarded it to me with a note. "He asked me to send this. You don't have to read it if you don't want to. I'll understand either way. Love, Grandma." I stared at the envelope for 3 days before I finally opened it. The letter was 4 pages long, handwritten on lined notebook paper. My father's handwriting, which I recognized immediately from childhood birthday cards and notes in my school lunchbox a lifetime ago. "Avery," it began. Not son, not dear Avery, just my name. "I don't know if you'll read this. I don't know if Grandma will even give it to you. But I need to write it anyway, even if you throw it away without looking at it. I'm not writing to ask for anything. I'm not writing to make excuses. I'm writing because you deserve to hear the truth, and I should have told you the truth a long time ago. You were right about everything. We lied to you about Christmas. Amanda didn't want you there because she was jealous of your success, and instead of defending you, we went along with it. We told ourselves we were keeping the peace, but really, we were cowards. We should have stood up for you. We didn't. We lied to you about money. We weren't just struggling a little. We were drowning. I'd been fired for drinking, not demoted. Your mother had quit her job because she couldn't handle the stress anymore. We were living off loans and your money and government benefits we didn't qualify for. And instead of being honest with you, instead of asking for real help, we stole from you. I forged your signature on that loan because I was desperate and stupid and I thought I could fix everything before you found out. I thought if I could just get 1 more month ahead, 1 more payment caught up, everything would work out. But it never worked out. It just got worse. And I kept lying because facing the truth was too hard. I don't expect you to forgive me. I wouldn't forgive me either. I'm 90 days sober now. I started AA after the court mandated it as part of my probation. At first, I went because I had to, but then I actually started listening. Started hearing other people's stories about how they'd hurt their families, destroyed their lives, lost everything. And I realized that was me. I was the person in those stories. Your mother is in therapy. She's dealing with a lot of things she's avoided dealing with for years. We're both trying to get better. Not for you. We don't expect to have a relationship with you ever again. We're trying to get better for ourselves, so we can live with what we've done. The warehouse job is hard. I come home every night exhausted and sore. But it's honest work, and that's more than I've been able to say in a long time. I'm paying you back $75 every month. I know it'll take over 13 years at that rate, but I'm going to pay back every penny, even if I'm 70 years old when I make the final payment. Amanda and Brandon split up last month. She's living in an apartment by herself now, working 2 jobs to afford it. She won't admit it, but I think she finally understands that what we did to you was wrong. Jason won't talk to us. Uncle Frank barely speaks to us. The family we tried so hard to keep together by hiding from our problems is more broken than it's ever been. I'm not telling you this to make you feel bad for us. We deserve everything that's happened. I'm telling you because you deserve to know that we understand now. We understand what we did. We understand what we lost. You were the best of us, Avery. You worked hard. You made something of yourself, and instead of being proud of you, we resented you. Instead of celebrating your success, we punished you for it. Instead of treating you like the good son you were, we treated you like an ATM, and then had the nerve to complain when you finally stood up for yourself. I'm sorry. I know those words don't mean much after everything, but I'm sorry. You don't owe us anything. Not forgiveness, not money, not another chance. You don't even owe us a response to this letter. You cut us off because we gave you no choice. That was the right decision. I just wanted you to know that you were right about all of it. And I'm sorry it took losing you for me to finally see the truth. Dad, I read the letter 3 times. The first time, I felt anger. The second time, I felt sadness. The third time, I felt nothing, just a kind of empty acceptance. He was apologizing, actually apologizing, without asking for anything in return, without making excuses. That was something, maybe even a lot, but it didn't change what had happened. It didn't undo the lies or the fraud or the pain. It didn't give me back those 3 years of supporting them while they resented me. It didn't give me back that Christmas I spent alone while they celebrated without me. I folded the letter and put it in a drawer in my desk. I didn't throw it away, but I didn't respond either. Maybe someday I'd be ready to talk to him. Maybe not. Either way was okay, because I'd learned something important through all of this. I'd learned that you can't help people who won't help themselves. I'd learned that family isn't just about blood. It's about respect and honesty and mutual care. I'd learned that protecting yourself isn't selfish. It's necessary. I'd learned that sometimes the most loving thing you can do is walk away. Carrie came over that night. She found me sitting on the couch, staring at nothing. "You okay?" she asked. "I got a letter from my dad. Do you want to talk about it?" He apologized. For everything. He didn't ask for anything. Just said I was right, and he was sorry. How do you feel about that? I thought about it for a long time before answering. I don't know. Part of me wants to believe he means it. Part of me thinks it's too little, too late. And part of me just doesn't care anymore. She sat down next to me and took my hand. You don't have to decide anything right now. You don't have to decide anything ever, if you don't want to. It's okay to just let it be. And she was right. I didn't have to decide. I didn't have to forgive them, or reconcile with them, or do anything at all. I could just live my life. The life I'd built for myself, after cutting them loose. That night, as I was falling asleep, I thought about everything that had happened in the past year. The exclusion, the fraud, the family implosion, the legal consequences, the therapy, the growth, the healing. It had been the hardest year of my life, but it had also been the year I finally learned to put myself first. And that was worth more than any family dinner. It's been 14 months now since that Christmas. The Christmas when I discovered I'd been lied to and excluded. The Christmas that changed everything. I'm sitting in my apartment on Christmas Eve, but this time, things are different. The Chinese takeout containers are on my counter again, but this time, they're a deliberate choice, a private joke with myself about how far I've come. Last year, they represented loneliness and betrayal. This year, they represent freedom. Carrie is in the kitchen, making hot chocolate. We're having a few people over tonight. 2 friends from work, my friend Marcus, who I'd lost touch with years ago but reconnected with recently, and grandmother Patricia. Grandma's coming has been the most healing part of all this. She was the only family member who never took sides, never judged, never tried to manipulate. She reached out to me 6 months ago and asked if we could have coffee. Just the 2 of us. No agenda. We met at a diner halfway between our places. She held my hand across the table and said, "I'm proud of you. What you did took more courage than staying would have." I'd cried. Right there in the diner, I'd cried like I hadn't cried through the whole ordeal. "I love your parents," she'd said. "They're my son and daughter-in-law, but what they did to you was wrong, and I won't pretend otherwise just to keep the peace." That had meant everything. Someone from my family, someone who'd been there my whole life, validating that I wasn't crazy, that I hadn't overreacted, that I'd been wronged, and had every right to protect myself. We'd been having coffee once a month since then, just the 2 of us. She told me about her life, her friends, her garden. I told her about work, about Carrie, about the therapy that was helping me rebuild my sense of self-worth. We didn't talk about my parents unless I brought it up, which I rarely did. She accepted my invitation to Christmas Eve dinner immediately. "I'd be honored," she'd said. Now she's sitting on my couch, a cup of tea in her hands, chatting with Marcus about his new job. Carrie is laughing at something my coworker Jenny said. My other coworker, Tom, is helping me set up the small table I'd bought specifically for this gathering. The apartment smells like hot chocolate and Chinese food and pine from the small Christmas tree in the corner. I decorated it simply. No elaborate ornaments, no family heirlooms, just white lights and a few decorations Carrie and I had picked out together at Target. My phone buzzes. A notification. A payment has been deposited into my account. $75 from Doug Peterson. I smile. 14 months of payments. 14 months of my father working at that warehouse, sending me $75 every month as court-ordered restitution. 146 more months to go. Over 12 years left. Carrie notices my expression. "The payment?" "Yeah. How does it feel?" "Honestly, it feels like closure. Not because of the money, but because every month that payment is a reminder to both of us. To him, of what he did. To me, of what I survived." She kisses my cheek. "You didn't just survive. You thrived." And she's right. I have thrived. The promotion came with more responsibility, but also more satisfaction. I'm working on projects I care about with people I respect. I'm saving money at a rate I never could before. I'm planning to buy a house next year, a real house with a yard and space for the life I'm building. Carrie and I have been dating for almost a year now. We're taking things slow, but it's serious. She's talked about moving in together next year. I'm actually considering it. The old me, the me from 14 months ago, would have been terrified of that kind of commitment. But I've learned that healthy relationships don't drain you. They energize you. I haven't spoken to my parents. I read my father's letter, but I never responded. I don't know if I ever will. Maybe someday, when enough time has passed, when I can think about them without feeling that knot of betrayal in my chest. But maybe not. And I've made peace with both possibilities. Jason reached out 3 months ago. He sent me an email, not asking for anything, just apologizing for his part in everything. He said he'd been manipulated and had believed lies about me that he now knew weren't true. He said he understood if I never wanted to speak to him again, but he wanted me to know he was sorry. I responded. We've exchanged a few emails since then. Nothing deep, nothing intense. Just small updates about our lives. He tells me about his new job. I tell him about Carrie. We're not close, and maybe we never will be again. But there's a door open, slightly, that wasn't open before. Amanda, I haven't heard from. Grandma tells me she's struggling. The divorce from Brandon was messy. She's working 2 jobs to afford her apartment. She's bitter and angry, still blaming everyone but herself for how things turned out. Maybe she'll have her own moment of clarity someday. Maybe she won't. Either way, it's not my problem to fix. My parents are still together, still working their hourly jobs, still paying back their debts month by month. Grandma says my father really has stayed sober. Says he looks healthier than he has in years, despite the hard work. Says my mother is softer now, less anxious, more present. They're living within their means for the first time in years. Part of me is glad they're doing better. I don't wish them harm, but I also don't feel responsible for their well-being anymore. They're adults. They made choices. They're living with the consequences, and I'm living with mine. The consequences of my choice, it turns out, are pretty good. "Dinner's ready," Carrie calls out. We all gather around the table. It's cramped with 6 of us in my small dining area, but it's warm and full of laughter. We pass containers of sweet and sour chicken, lo mein, fried rice, egg rolls. Tom tells a story about his cat. Jenny talks about her upcoming trip to visit her family. Marcus makes a joke about my cooking skills, or lack thereof. Grandma smiles at me from across the table, her eyes twinkling. This is family, I realize. Not the people you're related to by blood, but the people who choose you, who show up for you, who respect you. This is what Christmas should feel like. Safe, warm, joyful. After dinner, we sit around the living room. Someone suggests we share what we're grateful for. It's cheesy, but we're full and happy, so we go along with it. Marcus says he's grateful for second chances and old friendships. Jenny says she's grateful for her health and her weird cat. Tom says he's grateful for good coworkers and even better Chinese food. Carrie looks at me and says she's grateful for meeting someone who knows his own worth and isn't afraid to protect it. Grandma says she's grateful that her grandson had the courage to choose himself, even when it was hard. When it's my turn, I take a moment to really think about it. I'm grateful for that Christmas 14 months ago, I say finally. Everyone looks surprised. I know that sounds weird, but if they hadn't lied to me, if they hadn't excluded me, I might have kept enabling them for years. I might never have learned to set boundaries. I might never have realized that sometimes the people who hurt you the most are the ones who claim to love you. That Christmas was the worst night of my life, but it was also the beginning of the best year of my life. Grandma reaches over and squeezes my hand. Carrie leans her head on my shoulder. Marcus raises his beer and says, "To painful lessons and better days." We all raise our glasses. To better days. Later that night, after everyone has gone home, Carrie and I are cleaning up. She's washing dishes. I'm putting away leftovers. It's domestic and simple, and exactly what I need. "You know what's funny?" I say. "What?" "Last Christmas, I was sitting here alone, feeling worthless, feeling like I'd been thrown away. And now, a year later, I'm happier than I've ever been. They tried to break me, and instead, they freed me." "They didn't try to break you," Carrie says wisely. "They tried to use you. There's a difference. And you said no. That's not them freeing you. That's you freeing yourself." She's right, of course. They didn't give me anything. I took it. I took my freedom, my peace, my life back. I made the choice to walk away. I made the choice to protect myself. I made the choice to build something better. My phone buzzes one more time before I go to bed. It's an email from Jason. The subject line says Merry Christmas. I open it. "Hey, just wanted to say Merry Christmas. No pressure to respond. But I've been thinking about what you said in your last email, about how standing up for yourself isn't selfish, it's necessary. You were right. I'm trying to apply that to my own life now. Setting boundaries with people who take advantage. Learning to say no. It's hard, but it's worth it. You taught me that. Thanks, man. Hope you're having a good holiday. Jason." I smile and type back a simple response. Merry Christmas, Jason. Proud of you. Then I put my phone away and look around my apartment. At the small tree with its simple decorations. At the photos on the wall of me and Carrie from our Hawaii trip. Me and Marcus at a hiking trail. Me and my coworkers at a team dinner. At the plants on the windowsill that I've actually managed to keep alive. At the evidence of a life I've built on my own terms. This is what winning looks like. Not revenge. Not schadenfreude at my family's struggles. Just peace. Just happiness. Just a life lived for myself, instead of for people who didn't value me. I think about that Avery from 14 months ago. The one who sat alone on Christmas night, heartbroken and confused. If I could go back and tell him anything, I'd tell him this. It gets better. Not right away. Not easily. But if you're brave enough to walk away from people who hurt you, even if they're family, even if it's hard, even if everyone says you're wrong, it gets better. You find out who you are when you're not busy fixing everyone else. You find out what you're worth when you stop letting people treat you like you're worthless. You find out what family really means when you build it yourself from people who actually care about you. Carrie turns off the kitchen light and comes to stand beside me. Ready for bed? Yeah, I say. And then, because it feels right, because it's true, I add, best Christmas ever. She laughs. Better than last year? So much better than last year. We head to bed, and I sleep peacefully. No anxiety about family obligations. No guilt about not doing enough. No fear that I'm letting anyone down. Just peace. In the morning, I'll wake up and make coffee and start Christmas Day with the woman I'm falling in love with. We'll have a quiet morning. Maybe watch a movie. Maybe go for a walk. Simple. Easy. Mine. And in 12 years, when that final $75 payment comes through, when my father has paid back the $12,000 he stole from me, I'll have a decision to make. Maybe by then, I'll be ready to talk to him. Maybe I'll send him a message saying I received the final payment, and I wish him well. Maybe we'll meet for coffee and have an awkward conversation that becomes less awkward over time. Or maybe I won't. Maybe I'll just mark the payment as received and move on with my life. Maybe that chapter will close without ever reopening. Either way is fine. Because I've learned the most important lesson of all. I don't owe anyone access to my life, not even family. Especially not family who proved they don't deserve it. Love isn't just a feeling. It's actions. It's showing up. It's honesty. It's respect. And when people prove through their actions that they don't love you the way you deserve to be loved, walking away isn't giving up on them. It's refusing to give up on yourself. So here's what I want you to think about. Have you ever had to walk away from someone you loved because staying was destroying you? How did you find the courage to put yourself first? And if you're in a situation right now where you're being used, manipulated, or taken for granted by family or friends, what's stopping you from setting the boundaries you need? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. If this story resonated with you, please hit that like button and subscribe for more real-life stories about overcoming family drama and finding your own path. And if you know someone who's struggling with toxic family relationships, please share this video with them. Sometimes, we all need to hear that it's okay to choose ourselves. Thank you for listening to my story. I hope it helps you in some way, whether that's giving you courage to set your own boundaries or just letting you know you're not alone if you've been through something similar. Take care of yourselves. And remember, family is who shows up for you, not just who shares your DNA. Merry Christmas. And here's to better days ahead for all of us.